Hello Internet, it's Dee. Man, this doesn't even make a noise. And this month is my birthday month. So, hence the party blower and the hat. Yay! Also, since it's spooky month, I also updated the backdrop a bit. Not that you can see too much of it when I'm in the way, but it's seasonally appropriate, sort of, now. Well, we're back again with more algorithm-generated color palettes, but the one I generated after the last video was really similar. It was another, like, blue and yellow palette, so I went ahead and just pulled another one, and we wound up with this. This is my attempt at recreating it, and for comparison now, here is what I managed to scrounge up with my makeup. This one's, I don't know, I mean, I like it, but it's different. The two colors that I found specifically, let's see, this yellow and this teal green are creamy eyeshadows, and these two are not. So we're gonna have to see how that turns out. You know what, let's start with that lime yellow. I've been getting a lot of use out of my lime yellow eyeshadow. Not a shade I thought was going to be used a lot, but I'm really going through it. So we're going back to the BH Cosmetics Take Me Back to Brazil palette, and going in, once again, for that real light limey yellow. I'm going to put this on the top upper part, kind of right underneath my eyebrow, almost as kind of a highlight, because while this shade is getting a little greenish more than yellow, I don't really want it in the crease itself because I think it's a little too light for that to really show up well. And the yellow I've chosen is a little bit darker than this, so I'm hoping I can just sort of keep this one up here and have it still blend with the other eyeshadows okay. That looks weird just on its own. Alright, for the next shade, I'm going to take the NYX Love You So Mochi palette. Isn't that pretty? Oh, I love this palette. I'm so glad I get to use it. Just wasn't matching some of those other color palettes. And I'm going to take this yellow right in the middle that is very well loved, because I love this shade of yellow. So pretty. Because this one is it's like, the texture in these is really interesting. They're these kind of slightly squishy cream to powder kind of feel. They're really interesting. I kind of like it though. But because of that, I'm just going to use my finger to apply it as opposed to a brush. And I'm going to put that... I'm going to put that in inner half. Kind of like that, and I think I'm going to bring it down a little bit. I have a thing in mind. We'll see if it actually comes together. Next, from the same palette as before, I'm taking this shade right here, another very well loved shade because I really like it. Just using my finger again as well, and I'm going to put this shade on the outer half of my eye and then try to blend it between the kind of, what do you call this shade of green anyway? A sea foam green? It seems like greener than just teal, but not green enough to just be called green. Make a little bit of a gradient there. So far, so good. The thing with certain eyeshadow looks is sometimes you really don't know how it's going to look and if it's going to look any good until the very end. Because all before that, it's just sort of like really weird splotches and bits of color. But sometimes, I don't know, like if you just at the end when you got the eyeliner and the lashes on, it just like suddenly pulls itself together and looks amazing. I don't know how to explain it. Okay, that's our look so far. That kind of steel blue gray shade was Once again, one I could not really find in my broader collection, so I turned back to my BH Cosmetics first edition really huge palette. To my credit, I tried mixing some other eyeshadows first to see if I could replicate it, but I just couldn't get it to look quite right. So my backup measure, it is, oh, get out of there. So this eyeshadow palette comes in 2 layers, so this is the second layer of the palette. And I'm going with this shade right there. I'm gonna put that on my thin blending brush. See how that performs. Okay, so I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna try to make this my crease color. I don't know if it's going to really blend with what's on there or not. We're just gonna have to see. Ooh, don't screw it up. Okay, it's looking okay. Oh, it might work. Okay, got a little bit of fallout out of that. Not a big deal. Gonna take my clean blender brush. Have at it. Oh my gosh, I think that might have worked. Can I replicate it on the other eye? That's the question. You know, I think it managed to all kind of blend together all right. Make a nice gradient. Now, what do I want to do for the bottom? Okay, I'm gonna take this type of brush here, and I'm gonna use it with this green again. Sometimes, I don't know, these sort of creamy blushes don't do well with brushes if you're trying to cover a large area, but if you want just a really concentrated point, then the brushes can still perform okay with them. And I'm just gonna line down here to start. Oh, don't get twitchy now, eyes. Blend a little with my finger. And now on a really itty bitty teeny tiny taper brush, going to take that darkest slate gray shade again. I don't want to hold it back up, it's a pain. And then just kind of try to use that as my eyeliner. And I'm only going to really use this on like the outer half of my eye. At least on the lower part. The upper part, I'm probably going to take it a little further in. Alright, nice. That's how it's turned out, and there really wasn't a lot of fallout with that either. So I'm gonna go off and finish the rest of my eyes off camera so I can let it cool down a bit, and we'll be back to do lips. And finally, the lip color. Clearly this one. That was an easy choice. The problem was finding a lipstick like this. I dug through my collection and I had absolutely nothing that matched that particular shade. I have some dark maroony lipsticks, but all of them were just too saturated. They were just too much red and pinks in them. None of that grayish undertone, which is, yeah, very unusual. So I did the best I could, and I mixed some lipsticks to try to recreate it. This is what it looks like. I'm just having to use my hand as my little mixing palette, and the two that I mixed are actually from another BH Cosmetics big old giant palette. This is the Nude Lips 28 Colors lipstick palette. I bought this just to play around with what shades look good on me and what don't, and it's coming in handy for mixing. So the shades specifically that I mixed was this one way down in the corner here, this real dark one. And then I added that one right there because I thought it had more of that kind of cooler grayish undertone that I was looking for. And I think I got pretty close. I just mixed them on my hand here, and I'm going to use this thin lip brush to apply it. Hopefully I mixed enough, because I don't really want to have to mix much more. This far it is looking a little bit patchy, but hopefully it can kind of build it up. I think I'm gonna have to mix more though, alas. Oh, the edges of this are really hard to do. Probably could have used a lip liner, but I don't think I have a lip liner that remotely matches this either. Oh, it wants to feather so bad. Alright, I think that's as built up in pigment as it's gonna get. And it appears until that layer comes off, it's just going to leave a weird pink bruised mark on the back of my hand. Whoops. One little last thing I thought to finish off with was just a touch of gold highlighter to match the yellows going on. And I'm going to use the Laura Geller Life Glows On Illuminator palette and the one in the middle here, French Fizz. Well, and really, I think gold goes well with this lip color too. Can I do a little bit of on my lip? Yes, I love that look. Alright, I'm going to go do my hair and we'll come back for the finished look. While I was in the bathroom doing my hair, I actually remembered I had this thing and I thought it looked really nice with this lip color. So from this palette to this, here's the finished look. Well, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I've loved the responses I've gotten on my first few videos. So please keep watching and subject your friends to it if you liked it. So tell me what you think of this look in the comments. I think it turned out way better than the last look. I actually really like this and I love how much it matches my bow. Subscribe if you haven't yet, I guess. Trying to collect some of those still. And I will see you in the next video.